coming up on the Online Trainer Show.
What took you from 1K to where we are? I guess that's what you're going to talk about today. I don't read the topics before we record. Surprised and ask random questions. So is that what you're about to talk about? How you got from like sort of there, like bootstrapping?
The general process. I mean, it's not really about my story. I think what happened, that this is the anniversary, kind of spurred on this topic, but it's more about like, how do you grow something? Hello and welcome to the Online Trainer Show, where we make sense of the online fitness world and help you build your online fitness business and your dream life and have some fun while you're doing it. I'm Jonathan Goodman, one of your co-hosts, and I'm excited that you're here. Thanks for listening. This podcast is made possible by viewers like you, except you're not viewers, you're listeners. Okay, well, I guess a word from our sponsors. You know, we started our online fitness business a couple weeks ago, and as the leaders in online fitness business education for a lot of years, we got to know all of the software companies inside and out. We have been working with them. I've been an advisor. I've advised basically every major software company. And so when it came time for us to build our system, you know, I wanted to choose the one that we were going to work with, the software program that we were going to work with, that was going to be the right combination of ease of use. We're going to onboard a lot of coaches very quickly to work with our clients. You know, we brought on 5 at the beginning, but we wanted to build a system where we could bring on a lot of coaches. So very, very quickly. So it had to be really easy to use, had to have the right kind of automation, had to have the data that we needed in there, had to have an Android app and an EOS app. And so we decided to use PT Distinction. And that's not just because, you know, they were the sponsors for our show. We decided to use them after looking at all the options for what we needed the best, and really have been loving them so far. So I can't recommend PT Distinction enough if you're looking for online training software. And normally they give a 30-day trial fee to check out the system. But what they've done special for us and listeners of the show, so that's you, is giving you guys a 60-day trial. So basically double the trial period, really to make sure you love them. And one of the things I love about that is it's not like a coupon code. It's nothing, right? Like they're putting skin in the game. Like they're basically willing to let you try out everything they have for free for 60 days, knowing that you're going to love it so that you keep using it. And that to me is a testament to just their own belief in the quality of their system. And that's one of the things that I really look for. But I want to kick it to Ren for a second. Ren, you're one of our coaches in online trainer coaching. Yep. And so you just started using the system, 2 weeks ago and got in there. So how are you finding it so far, man?
You know, it's very much like a pair of shoes for a kid. You know, you can grow into it. What I love about it is how simple it is at the front end.
How did you just come up with that?
Yeah, I just made that up. Well,
that is the best analogy that I think, like that analogy was so perfect for what perfect. You're talking about. And I know you just came up with that on the spot.
I did, you know,
amazing.
But it is, you know, you grow into it. So it works at every level is what I'm finding out, because I'm a little bit more complex as a trainer. I've been online training for a while. So I've been around the block, as they say. And one great thing about PT Distinction is it can go from simplicity to sort of explicit detail in a short amount of time. If you need more detail, if you're expert at programming, PT Distinction makes sense for you. If you're new to programming, PT Distinction is great for you. It's got a great library. So I love the fact that it will sort of grow along with your training business. That's one of my favorite things about it so far, having engaged with it for only a few weeks. So, you know, I got to say, normally I don't support your choices, Jonathan. We all know that. But in this case, I'm willing to say possibly that you didn't make an error.
There you go. I mean, that's fantastic. So guys, if you're listening and you want to get going with that deal, with that special deal for PT Distinction, you can go to the show notes for this episode or just go straight to onlinetrainer.com/PTD. And you'll see there's coupon code. Just enter it in when you check out and you'll get the 60 days to check it out. So the Online Trainer Show, not sure if you guys know, is actually produced by the same people who created the Online Trainer Academy. I'm the founder of it. All of us are graduates for it. Ren and Carolina, you guys are both actually level 2 certified. Is that right?
Correct.
We're a big deal.
You guys have been hanging around for a few years in our communities.
I feel old.
And Young and heart. And one of the things that I'm most proud of with the Online Trainer Academy, I mean, it's not the fact that it was the first ever textbook for the subject, still the only textbook, the only real curriculum that exists for online training, and that we have worked with more people than anybody else. What, 35,000 or something people that we've worked with in 87 countries. So we know what we do works. It's actually the longevity of the success of people in the program. And that's something I'm super proud of, because the methods that we teach are agnostic. They don't fall prey to changes in algorithms. We don't teach you necessarily how to leverage like the newest, hottest software or social media, or whatever it is. What we do is we empower you and we teach you strategies to actually jump on and understand what the foundational principles are for success. What are the skills that you need to up level to be a successful online trainer? We're talking everything from obviously your marketing skills and your business development skills to your client skills, motivational interview, and how do you assess clients online? How do you take care of your clients well? Because even if I could help you get more clients, if you can't take care of them and get them good results, then not much is good is going to happen, and you're going to have to keep reinventing the wheel, and that's straight up exhausting, and you're destined to fail. And that's one of the things that I'm most proud of, that our community has been around and continues to grow. I mean, we've been around for 8 years. You can't have an educational course that's been around for 8 years in a platform that changes as much as the internet does, and not really have struck on some very important, fundamental, foundational principles that are wildly accessible. And so if you guys are interested in that, I encourage you to check out the Online Trainer Academy. We produce this podcast, and we've been around for a while. We're going to be around for a lot longer, and we'd love for you to join us. If you just go to onlinetrainer.com/academy, then we will take great care of you. And we do, of course, have a guarantee, and we guarantee everything that we do as well. So there's no risk. So check it out, onlinetrainer.com/academy.
This is the Online Trainer Show, Trainer Show, Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
Can I introduce it in the voice of the Dominican man offering me drugs?
Oh man, can we start a list of random voices, kind of like improv? Like today you're going to introduce it
Would love that.
Yeah, that seems to be a lot of work, but I'm just going to do it this one time. There's just a lot of things that I need to do on any given day, and I feel like that's not high up in the priority queue.
This particular need is interesting of yours, but
yeah. Hello, man. Hey, man. Hey, today on the Online Trainer Show, man, you want episode 38. 38. Growing the business from the bottom, man. You want some of that, man?
Oh my God! It's off the rails early here at the Online Trainer Show. So you guys don't know what just happened, but Jonathan was telling us a lovely story about being in the Dominican Republic, La República Dominicana, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go. You nailed it.
And yeah, I took Spanish. I was in class sometime. So in the story, he was telling us about the area where they were staying, and just walking outside of your hotel, you would be offered either cocaine or a lovely lady to spend the evening with. And this was the voice of
this was the same place where the security guard would bounce Calvin on one knee with a shotgun on the other hand.
Oh my word!
Yeah.
Another lovely
This is how we
story.
brought up a 1.5-year-old.
Right.
It's pretty solid.
This is also the place that the receptionist thought that Carolina was my wife and congratulated her.
So please come back for more parenting and relationship tips. The Online Trainer Show. So John, at the beginning of the show, Jonathan, before we got on air, Jonathan was like, "Hey, can I introduce the show in the Dominican voice of the man that offered cocaine and ladies of the night?" like we're going to say no to that, right? I mean, you guys have heard the show before.
I'm here for that.
Like, surely he's not looking to the three of us for any type of guidance or support or normalcy. We're like,
it was a rhetorical question. It's not like our opinion actually matters here.
Amber suggested more voices. Actually, she was like, "Can I give you a list of voices to do every episode?" So that's the kind of structure that we're working with here at the Online Trainer Show. You're welcome, Lithuania. This is why the Lithuanians tune in, I think, Jonathan. Like, this is what Lithuania wants.
We seem to do very good in countries that end with "ia."
Yeah, we really do. Romania,
Lithuania. We need to get Bosnia. Do you think Bosnia is listening?
I don't. Do they allow?
Amber's checking.
outside?
Amber's checking what our numbers are
She's
like in Bosnia right now.
us.
Yeah, Amber's just an excellent fact checker. Like early on in the podcast, we would ask her to check things. Now, anything slightly ridiculous, she just opens up Google or her computer. She knows we're going to want to know the answer to this nonsense.
Well, not really. She's like that person at the dinner party that everybody hates. It's like everybody's talking about. It's like everybody's like talking about something ridiculous. They're like a boy band or whatever. We talked about this. Everybody's talking about some dumb thing or some dumb fact, and then some jerk takes out their phone and actually looks up what the fact is, and you're like, nobody actually wanted to know. We just had fun talking about it. And then the person that somebody's like, no, actually their hit single was in 2004. You're like, oh, cool. Now we're done talking about that.
That's our Amber.
It was
Yay.
fun.
Yeah.
Amber's
Love you,
agreeing
Amber.
with this. She agrees with this description of herself, by the way. She's raised her hand and nodding in validation that yes,
He's owning it.
I am that person.
Actually, the most dangerous animal in the world is the hippopotamus. Actually,
Just let
that
us
is a
talk about
fact.
lions, for God's sake, please.
But
What
it's
did
not.
Simba
It's,
ever do to
it's
you?
hippopotami are
Yeah.
actually the most dangerous animal. Don't look it up. You don't need to.
It's like that. It's like that kid in Jerry Maguire. Did anybody see that movie, Jerry Maguire?
Of course.
He came
Yeah.
out, the little kid that had all the information. She's like, boys have a penis and girls have a vagina. Like he was just
That was from Kindergarten Cop. Arnold
that was
Schwarzenegger.
that. Was that
quote.
kindergarten?
Yes,
was it the same
that quote.
kid?
No, it was a different kid because it was like 10 years apart.
That's right. Because the Jerry Maguire quote was, "Dogs and bees can smell fear."
Oh,
I think the kid said that in that movie. But he grows up to be Amber. Long story short, so it was a child actress that would look like a boy at the time, and then grew up, and we knew it behind the scenes. It was very common knowledge, but that's what Amber has grown into.
I got to watch some more TV. That's what I'm getting from
You
this.
really need to,
I don't
Jonathan.
know any of these references.
You're lost in most of these conversations. Keto and Amber are on board, though. So, Keto,
I'm so blissfully unaware
you are
of most of general pop culture.
You really are.
It's
You really
a fantastic way to live. It's like I was at the bank ordering a Mexican pesos, and because I'm going to be in Mexico again for 3 months in December. So I was at the bank ordering Mexican pesos, and the guy was like, the teller was like, okay, can I just confirm this is your phone number? I was like, yeah, that's my phone number, but if you call it, I won't pick up, and I don't have an answering machine. And he's like, well, how will we get a hold of you? I'm like, well, it takes 5 to 7 days, so I'll be here in about 3 weeks. It's like, well, how do other people get a hold of you? I'm like, people who I want to get a hold of me know how to get a hold of me. Life is way better when people you don't know can't get a hold of you.
Yep. I screen my calls, baby. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know this number. Let's screen the call if you actually want to talk to me.
He's like, well, how will you know that the money is in? I'm like, well, it's like 2 weeks is the max, so I'll be here in 3 weeks. What do you mean? I'll just show up when it's convenient. Like, what do you, I mean,
yes, in your youthful exuberance and control. There was a time when I was not far from your ages, where we didn't have caller ID. You just had to answer the phone and talk to the person that rang it. That's it.
It was like a Russian roulette.
Yeah. I mean, you were playing with your social life by not answering that phone call, because
that's right.
Could have been Oprah Winfrey, could have been Phil Donahue, could have been Publishers Clearinghouse, all popular things in the 80s. You didn't know. Those are the three most popular things in the 80s are Phil Donahue, Oprah Winfrey, and Publishers Clearinghouse, by the way. That's a fact. Don't look that up, Amber. Don't ruin it for me.
Amber's looking down. I feel like she's writing down something on a post-it note.
Yeah, she probably is like moving along. So, Keto, what's up with you, Keto? How have you been doing? I saw the taco mats. The mats for that, Jonathan, you referenced it in an earlier podcast. Jonathan gave you this great doormat for tacos, and you had a picture. It came up in your what was it called? Your tomorrow,
the memories,
memories.
The Facebook memories, So, so that mat is coming with me to my new house in a couple of weeks. So, thank you, Jonathan. I guess I don't know.
Jonathan, you probably had no idea.
You didn't even know, that you would be like always present
when you bought that.
That was the entire intent.
That was what's that.
Right. Everything is a calculated move with you. I forget. It wasn't just about, being nice to me. God forbid.
Keto's moving into Barrie City Hall, and that mat is now going to adorn the steps of the City Hall in Barrie, Ontario. It's going to be amazing.
We're fancying it up. What can I say? We're classing it up.
I would laugh so hard if the sign that's like "Welcome to Barrie" on the highway just says "You better have tacos," like spray painted on it.
The new city tagline.
Oh my God, I would laugh so hard if that just gets spray painted on the welcome sign.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And Jonathan, I don't want to steal your thunder because I know you may talk about this on the podcast today, but there's an anniversary today, right?
There is.
I saw a post on the internet on Facebook, and I read posts sometimes, yours included sometimes.
That neon drink, Carol. You gotta stop that.
Keto's back on the sauce, guys, by the way. She's back on her purple electric drink is back on. I can see the brain cells falling out of her ear canal right now as she ingests this antifreeze. But
it's like the color of like a Willy Wonka cartoon.
It's like an animated drink. It's like a computer generated liquid.
There is nothing natural in the world that is that shape of purple.
That's not why I buy it. It just tastes great, and I will continue doing that. And you cannot drink shame me. Thank you.
It's like as if something like that.
It was just nodding her head. He's like, "Yeah, you go, girl."
Yeah, right. It's like a meteorite fell somewhere in Canada, somewhere in Barrie. A meteorite fell, and this irradiated meteorite had juice oozing out of it. And Keto was like, "I bet if I add water to that, it'll be delicious." And she's never looked back. She explains her superpowers, though.
It was a good day.
So, Jonathan, it's an anniversary today. Are you excited about this anniversary? Because it's a big deal. I mean, this is your roots.
I just found out about it like an hour ago. I had no idea that it was the anniversary. And it popped up in my Facebook memories. And for those of you wondering, no, this does not have to do with my wife.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I know when that anniversary is. It's July 10th.
Good job, Jonathan. Way to clean that up. As he checks his calendar, as he checks Google.
2016.
He literally Googled Jonathan Goodman's wedding anniversary on Google right now. Just to pull up his own anniversary.
He's checking his anniversary.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
No, I've got that down. I've got the anniversary down.
Good job, Jonathan.
Thank you, Ronald. And the anniversary today is the anniversary of the original release of the first ever course and curriculum for building an online training business.
Wow. So
in 2013, on September 17th, which is the date we're recording this, again, podcast mistake. Yeah, this is not going to go live for a couple of weeks.
Faux pas right there, Jonathan. You ruined it.
Huge faux pas.
Yeah.
But on September 17th, 2013, a program called 1K Extra was released. 1K Extra was the precursor to the Online Trainer Academy. And what we decided to talk about today, this was Amber's brilliance. I didn't think of this. She sends me like a list of like 100 possible topics. And I'm like, I don't even want to look at this list. And then I just like throw a dart and like point at random at one of them is how we pick them. But God, that list just keeps getting bigger. And I just, I can't even decide.
It does.
But
it really does get bigger. It's like a CVS receipt now.
Where did all these coupons come from?
It's just long for no reason, for no perceptible reason. It's just
I'm buying a pack of gum.
right.
I don't need 500 words on a refund policy for a pack of gum. Okay.
Oh my
I don't need
gosh.
27 coupons when I buy a pack of gum, CVS.
Gosh, seriously.
Yeah. Wasn't that a Mitch Hedberg skit, the comedian? He talked about like getting a receipt for a donut and how it's just the most ridiculous thing ever.
Right.
It's just like, I don't, you walked into a coffee shop and they said, if we don't give you a receipt, your meal is free. He's like, I don't need a receipt with a donut.
It's not coming back. It's not going to be itemized on my taxes this year.
I'm not going to return this donut. So what I thought would be fun to talk about is a little bit about the journey, but also about this idea of like 1K Extra. I mean, you know, obviously it led to the Online Trainer Academy and it was fine. And it was the first ever curriculum on the thing, but it wasn't put together well.
Yeah, I was going to say a few things about the ad was very interesting to read. I'll put it that way.
What was the ad?
Yeah, the original in your original enrollment post about 1K Extra, and you were so excited. Okay. You know, you were perceptibly excited. You could see it in the wording of the announcement. You know,
this was back when Jonathan had feelings.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is pre automaton Jonathan Goodman. This is back when he, you know, back when he still had emotions. He was so excited. It was a beautiful thing to witness, Jonathan. The emotion in your writing was beautiful to witness. But it was, you know, I giggled a bit at the at what you wrote then, because I'm very familiar with what you write now, and the sort of the complexity, the clever complexity of what PTDC does now, compared to the very simplistic ad, which was basically like, we did a thing and it's 1K Extra and it's awesome, and here's a link. Like, that was pretty much the
you should it was like a Millhouse. We always make fun of like people who are uncomfortable with sales and like they sound like Millhouse. Like, guys, hey, you should buy this, and like, it's really good. I'm really excited about it. So like, you should buy. Have you not bought this yet, guys?
Right.
Guys, if you click the link, you might like this. You might. So why don't you do? No, you don't want to. You don't want it.
We're exaggerating
if you
slightly.
Do want it, but
this is a slight exaggeration of what the post. But no, the post was really simple, and I thought it was great for me to see you going from that point to the point that I understand you're at now.
Which is what I want to talk about. I mean, not just the post, not just the writing and the structure of the writing, but more so what was particularly interesting, I think, about 1K Extras. First off, like the sales page, I found it a while back. I found a copy of it. I'm like, yo, this wasn't half bad, but it was like super spammy. It was like I'm going to make you rich type thing.
Right.
But it wasn't bad. But it's much more nuanced now for sure. But the program itself, this is how it was put together. It was myself in a 1-bedroom apartment. I made PowerPoint. So there was a jump start and an advanced module. That was it. Mm-hmm. And then there was a creating your asset bonus module, which I don't even know what that is. I think it was like how to do an ebook or something. Mm. And all that it was PowerPoint that I created, where I basically just like pulled pictures from the internet and put them into a PowerPoint. And I screen recorded my computer. I had no microphone. I had no camera. I screen recorded my computer, talking into my computer, clicking along the PowerPoint. So the videos are not even a picture of, not even me on the video. It's literally just a PowerPoint and then I'm talking over it. Mm-hmm. I did no editing. I did no post-production, nothing. I then took the videos and I uploaded them to this company called Vivante. It still exists, which is like a multimedia, like print on demand. So basically they create the DVDs. And then the PowerPoints, I did no work on whatsoever. I gave them the PowerPoints and they put them together in a binder so that people could follow along with the PowerPoints to the videos. And that was it. That was literally it. And it's so interesting, like that was my chapter 1, right? And now I think it's so easy to compare your chapter 1 with other people's chapter 10.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's got a chapter 1. And so this reminded me of mine. And I want to talk about the progress of moving from chapter 1 to chapter 10 a little bit. But before I do that, I want to make sure that it's known that I'm at whatever chapter I am in my journey now. I mean, I'm definitely past chapter 1. You know, everything we do is much more polished. It looks good. It feels good. It's professionally produced.
Podcast exception.
Podcast is the exception.
Right.
But I mean, I'm talking the Online Trainer Academy specifically, like that stream of product, right?
Oh, yeah. That's way better than this.
Way better than this. And what I still compare myself to other people who are perhaps farther ahead than me, fully knowing that there are a number of people who compare themselves to me who are earlier on in their journey.
Mm-hmm.
So like that is always going to happen. You're
Right.
always, as you get better and move along and flip the pages of your own book, you're always going to encounter people who are even farther along than you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't end. So you better learn how to deal with it and make sense of it. Let it fire you up for sure, but don't let that kind of comparison really beat you up too bad. I guess that's the first. So yeah, it just made me kind of like sit up a little bit and think about, you know, kind of the journey up until now, and remember back then how much simpler things were.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yeah.
And like a part of me envies that a little bit.
Yes.
I mean, I could just sit talking into my computer and record a video, and I can't do that anymore, right? No, stuff is much better now, but like I talked to some of our friends at Precision Nutrition about some work that we might do together in the future, and our company can move very, very quickly. We're extremely agile. Their company, because they're now owned by a private equity firm, or at least majority owned by a private equity firm, they have multiple levels of bureaucracy that they need approval to do anything on. And so they can't move as quickly. So like they envy me because I can be much more agile. I envy them because they make a lot more money. So like,
Right.
you know, it's interesting. And I think it's important for anybody at any stage of their journey, you know, not to just say, oh my God, like I should be them, but take pride where you are and enjoy the steps.
Right. And when he says that that PTDC and all that bit more agile, what he means is Amber does it. So generally speaking, whenever we compliment this organization in any way, what we're saying actually is we'll forward it to Amber and she'll make sure that something gets done. It's basically she's the most tagged name in this organization by far. You think Jonathan's name would come up a lot? Not at all. No. Every other post and text and Slack channel bureaucratic thing I see is at Amber Reynolds, 100%. Keto, did you know about PTDC in 2013? I did. Far after 1K Extra. I wasn't familiar with it at that point.
No, catch that. Listen to this. So I remember when 1K came out, after it wasn't. It was a few months before that I had actually sat down and read every single blog post in the PTDC.
Really?
Back then. Every single thing that they had in the archive, I had gone over it. And then when 1K came out, the only reason I couldn't do it was because I was too broke to afford it 7 years ago. So into owning your process and owning where you are and the chapter in your life right now and how things change. That was me 7 years ago with, my second baby, trying to start a business, and I could not afford 1K Extra. And here we are.
That's a great segue back to Jonathan and just, comparing your chapter 1 to chapter 10, like he said, even comparing your own chapter 1 to your chapter now, Keto, that's significant. I don't think I came along until probably a year. I think I jumped into the first iteration of OTA And I think that's around the same time that I immediately got the information from Jonathan from Berardi that PN coaches should follow PTDC. And so I was late to the party, so to speak. But Jonathan, so how did you, what took you from 1K to where we are? I guess that's what you're going to talk about today. I don't read the topics before we record. Surprised and ask random questions. So is that what you're about to talk about? How you got from like sort of there, like bootstrapping?
The general process. I mean, it's not really about my story. I think what happened, that this is the anniversary kind of spurred on this topic, but it's more about like, how do you grow something, right? Reliably? How do you do it? I mean, I'm not opposed to debt done right. Taking on debt done right. I think if you really understand debt, it can be very beneficial. But I also very strongly believe in bootstrapping, and I bootstrap the entire company. So for any context, I've never taken debt. I've never taken a loan, and I've retained 100% ownership of the company. We have a couple key staff members now who have some vested equity that hasn't vested yet. Basically, what vested equity means is that if they stick around a certain amount of time, then they have a little bit of equity in the event that the company sells. And there's a whole bunch of ways that you can structure that. In our structure, it's ghost vested equity, which effectively means they don't get dividends, they don't get anything, but in the event that the company sells, they do get a few percentage points. But I've retained 100%, which is actually very, very rare, and I take a lot of pride in that. It does mean that we've grown perhaps slower by not accepting infusions of capital, but or taking on debt that could hamper us. But basically, what it meant is that step one, I kept my expenses extraordinarily low. In the very early days, I worked my ass off, unbelievably long hours. Late at night, early in the morning. I said no to a lot of social events. I said no to a lot of family events. I learned to do things myself. I mean, I learned to do basic photo editing, basic coding, so that I could do almost everything myself. Right. In the early days. And as a result, then, I gave myself some time and space to be able to effectively figure out what worked and what didn't work. And then as I started to make some money, I started to bootstrap it back into what we were doing, into better production. But also, again, just to learn what works and what didn't work, like I got on the phone. I mean, how many times have we said this in their podcast? Talk to people. You will be amazed at what happened. Right. After 1K. The 1K Extra came about originally because of a survey that I did in 2012 where I did 147 phone calls. For 13-minute phone calls. I did 147 of them with our audience, with our community. And then we did a large-scale survey as well to go along with that. That was like a SurveyMonkey type survey. And that's how we actually figured out not only that online training was going to be very important, but that's also how I figured out that $1,000 extra makes a world of difference to trainers, and kind of narrowed in on that very direct, specific hook. After 1K Extra came out, I got on the phone again, and I did 117 phone calls that were 9 minutes long with students of the program. Myself, and at this point I had an assistant who was like 15 hours a week or something. She wasn't full-time. Courtney, who's awesome, who was with me for 5 years. She's not anymore, but she's great. We connected on Facebook with pretty much all of our students, as many of our students as we could. I shouldn't say pretty much all, as many of our students as we could, and followed them, and actually had processes in place to see how they were using our materials or not using our materials. So in addition to speaking with them, we actually watched them and took notes on what they were doing and what weren't they doing, and was able to figure out how to improve the materials.
You stalked them. Okay.
And then we came out with version 2.
Nice.
And then we did that again and came out with version 3. And that's how we continue to improve the actual materials of the program, less about the production quality, because what you will find out is that production quality matters way less than you think. Your messaging matters, the quality of your product, understanding the problem you're trying to solve, and understanding where people are kind of falling down. Anybody who goes through the Online Trainer Academy will attest. It's like the amount of things that we get in front of and discuss before you even think about it or before you even worry about it. And then once you get there, you're like, oh my God, they're reading my mind. It's like, yeah, because we've done this with thousands of people for 7 years before you. Like, it's not that we're reading your mind. It's that these are common thoughts and nagging feelings and perhaps negative emotions, or you're obviously scared about putting yourself out there in this way. And we know that, and we get that. And here's how you approach it. And so over the years, it was that process of continuing to work very hard to improve the product and improve the understanding of the market by talking to people, and then putting out new versions of the program over and over and over and over again. And it was almost, for the first 4 or 5 years, to be honest, it was basically just me. When it came time to evolve it into the Online Trainer Academy, that's when Alex came on board, who's our head coach, and worked with me to project manage it. And now he runs the program day to day. But we still went through this program. Like, Online Trainer Academy is in version 3 now. The reality of it is, online marketplace is dynamic. Things change. People's sentiments change. Best practices, I would say foundational strategies don't change, but best practices of how you apply them do. And so we've continually had to adapt with that. And then, when it came time to hire other experts to get independent looks at the program, we put money towards that. We hired the senior course developer from Yale University to do an independent audit of the program. We hired another academic, a PhD in distance course learning design, to do an independent audit, not of the success of the materials, but of the learning styles of how people navigate these things. That's the general process, is just to be relentlessly obsessed with the nitpicking, with the fine details. There was a great, I think it was a Harvard Business Review article with Jerry Seinfeld. Asked him about the creation of Seinfeld. And it said, you guys, basically the interview went and the interviewer just said, you guys worked really hard on this. You didn't sleep for years type thing. Do you think you would have been better served by hiring a consulting firm like McKinsey or somebody to come in and maybe help you out in a bit? And he says, who's McKinsey? He goes, oh, they're a top-end consulting firm. He said, are they funny? Says, well, no, but they'll help you be more efficient. It's like, yeah, I'm not interested. The reason why Seinfeld was so good was because of how relentlessly obsessed with quality we were. We nitpicked every single line, every single scene. That's what you have to do if you want to make something really great. I mean, in terms of making it look good and feel good, it's not very hard once you have a little bit of money to hire production companies and designers to make something look good and feel good. But you are going to have to be the one to give them direction on brand. You're going to have to be the one to give them direction on the messaging and who this is for. And a lot of the time, you just don't know yet. And that's okay, because you're at stage 1. You're in a learning stage, right? Even if you're at stage 2 or 3, you're in a learning stage. Embrace that. Don't be in such a rush. You're not going to be behind. Because even if you move slower now to make your thing much better, the reality of it is everybody else will be trying to go so fast that they'll constantly have to reinvent what they do and be pushed back to the start. And you're just going to be slowly making your way through chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. And they're just going to keep being knocked back to the beginning and starting over. And you're going to look back in 7 years on September 17th and get a reminder on Facebook and be like, holy crap, I've come a long way.
But this trickles down to everything though, right? The one thing I like about OTA, the sort of the coaching side of it, dealing with these students and graduates through OTA that I get to do, is that I can very easily correlate what they're going through in business to fitness. I had one person tell me, the 5 people a day is just so challenging. It's, I was like, when the last time you did it? I did it about 3 weeks ago. I said, okay, let's flip this. I walk into your gym and I say, hey, we're willing to grow my legs. And you say, well, how often do you train legs? Well, I did legs 3 weeks ago. What do you tell me? As a coach, what do you tell me? Like, you got to get the reps. You've got to get the reps in anything that you're doing. Really, it sounds like you did the reps. That was a solid analogy. That was one of my better analogies. Good. So Jonathan, here's what I like to do. If you're willing to do things that people ask you to do ever.
Tell me what you'd like to do. I am really bad at doing what other people want me to do.
I felt
a serious fault in my constitution.
Yeah, I felt myself saying it, and I was like, he's not going to do this. But it'll be great for the podcast. Either way, it'll be entertaining.
There's always a chance.
People enjoy the friction. But can you sort of correlate that, the bootstrapping of the PTDC OTA? Are there any tips here? Like if you had to throw out 3 bullet points for the class today, that how you can correlate what you did with the organization to their business, are there some bullet points that you can sort of, when you start do this, because one thing that I'm hearing a lot about is your ability to survey, and I don't know that if coaches, I don't know if we do that enough with the people that we're coaching. You get them in and you coach them for fitness, but you sort of don't take the temperature of it. At least I'll admit, for my own business, I probably don't take the temperature as much as I could. So I probably don't know enough about the things that could improve the effectiveness of my process, if that makes sense. I'm telling on myself. I don't mind doing it. Keto's better. She's awesome. But me, I don't do that stuff. So are there some takeaways here from your experience going from chapter 1 to chapter 10 that we can apply to the fabulous coaches who are day drinking and listening to this podcast?
Carolina, for anybody who's not watching on YouTube, Carolina just took out one of those airplane bottles of vodka. and just poured it in her neon purple drink.
She's at her limit.
Don't mess with my reputation. I said I'm so proud of myself for never have been drunk on this podcast. I plan on keeping it like that for now.
Man. It's a great streak, Keto. You're amazing.
It's not something that should be notable. What are some take homes from my story? It's hard to be very, very actionable with this kind of stuff. I will do my best, but it's hard because my situation is very different from anybody else's.
Right.
And I truly respect that. And to give you, specific advice on what to do for your specific situation, it's just, there's too much context and nuance. But what I will say is that being relentlessly curious is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really just addicted to curiosity. You have to question everything. You have to understand that you know nothing about how things actually are. Even if you know a few things, assume you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go into asking questions assuming that you know stuff, you consciously or unconsciously affect the results.
Right.
And so be really curious, be really, really good at asking questions. And I mean, when you're good at asking me questions on this podcast, go into hey, why did you do that? Why are you thinking that?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I mean, I might be wrong here and totally cool, but are you feeling this way right now? And just be really, really good at that. And go through as many beta tests as you need to gain enough confidence in whatever product or program you're doing. I love beta tests. I mean, that's why we do the Founding Client Challenge. I still do beta tests for new programs that we put out. Our online trainer coaching, we only took 100 clients for the first go because we wanted to beta test it. We wanted to figure out what we had, what we didn't have. And we're going to talk to a lot of the people who are going through it. I mean, we're already starting to and seeing how they're feeling, right? Because we know that there's a lot of things that we can improve in the program, and we're going to take that and learn from it. And then, but the final part is, and this is, I think perhaps the biggest piece of actionable advice is whatever you do, work to give yourself room to be able to do this work. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of us get stuck. It's very easy to get stuck in a very reactive state in business where we're super busy. Maybe finances are stretched, or maybe we believe finances are stretched even if they're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We haven't actually done the math to figure out how much money we need. So we think that we need more than we actually do, which is a lot of what we work with people in OTA very, very close to the beginning, is like objectively figure out what those numbers are.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're always going to be fearful of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you do, even if it's high and even if it's hard to attain, at least now you have the yardstick. Now you have the goal, right? And what happens is when you don't do that work, or when you're really busy, or when you've taken on too much and you're not good enough at saying no, it's very, very hard to have any kind of room to do this work to actually get much better. And so figure out what that number is of how much money you need. Understand how to say no, which is perhaps another topic for another episode. Amber, write that down.
CVS receipt got longer.
CVS receipt got longer. Because when you have that time and when you have that space, you can put a lot more effort into really getting better. And this is the work that so few do that will set you apart in such unbelievable ways. I'll give you one example before we got to go. Is somebody just posted in our Facebook group just before this, in our regular Facebook group. This isn't anybody who's a student of ours. But he said, hey, does anybody have any leads on good people to run Instagram ads for me? I'm looking to hire a consultant.
Saw that.
And I said, maybe, but like, can I ask you a few questions first? Because I didn't really, like, I'd seen his name, but I didn't really know a lot about him. And I said, are your programs and packages and conversion systems dialed in? He said, yeah, they're pretty good. So, okay, what are they? And he told me them, and I was like, those don't seem very good. Like, those seem like they're actually not that much traction. But you have a couple of levels, and you have different price points and stuff, and that's fine. And I said, is your issue that you're not getting enough leads through? Because he said that his I don't quite believe him that his sales and conversions are really dialed in, but they might be. It's so rare for that to actually be dialed in that I don't believe it. Nothing against him. I just don't ever believe it when everybody says that until I actually see it. And then he said, oh, I'm just not getting enough leads in. And so I click over to his website and I find his Instagram and I go on his Instagram. He has 106,000 followers with like decent interaction. This dude does not need anybody to pay to acquire him leads.
Right.
Oh, wow.
This dude needs to figure out a much better way to convert the I literally wrote in the comment, I was like, bro, you have enough people already connected to you for 10, probably 20 lifetimes.
Right.
Yeah.
And a couple very small changes in how you ask and how you convert, and probably fixing your package structure. You should easily be $500,000 a year organically at an 80 to 90% profit margin. Easily. But he's sitting there and saying, I need more leads, I should pay for them. Is that not a perfect example of like, you got to question everything and you got to give yourself space to actually figure out what the heck is going on here?
Right.
Because the knee jerk is, I need customers, I need more leads. It's like, you have 106,000 people who are following you on Instagram for your fitness and nutrition advice. And you're telling me that you have 32 clients and you need more leads. Let's figure out what your conversion rate is, 32 out of 106,000. Like,
less than 1%, 0.00.
0.00032. Sorry. 0.000302% conversion rate.
Youch.
What do you think your problem is?
It's not leads.
It has nothing to do with leads, right? That's why you got to question everything and just be relentlessly curious about what the actual problem is. And give yourself there. I'm done. Give yourself space to figure it out.
Well, this has been a fantabulous show, Jonathan. It's good information. I'm telling you, I've seen the internets are speaking about like episodes 31 through 33, getting a lot of feedback about those episodes, just the actionable tips. I think that this will be another episode that people will have that same feeling about the actionable tips. I can't wait till the newer episodes come out, because I think we've done really well with those. Like we're improving. Maybe I should survey that. I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to do 117 phone calls at 13 minutes each to talk to people who have listened to this podcast.
I don't think we have that many.
I'm just going to brush up on my Lithuanian and I'll survey the people. Keto, anything to add? Amber, anything to add? You guys okay? You guys are good. All right, thanks so much. Show notes, onlinetrainer.com/podcast. I nailed it this time. I had the inflection. It wasn't confident, but it was correct, and that's okay. That's all I need to do. I just need to say the right thing. Jonathan was shaking his head at me looking at this monitor, so I was intimidated by the look on his face and his lush beard. Beard's very intimidating, Jonathan. I don't know, something about it that you don't feel as welcoming to me anymore. You can deal with that on your own time. You're running your own business, sir. I'm not here to judge you, but I'm just saying I think the numbers go down with the beard. So we'll be back next time for another episode of whatever it is we talk about in whatever episode it is. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Online Trainer Show. Jingle, jingle. Jingle, jingle, jingle. Bye-bye.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.